Yo, what's up Terrarians? I've been playing Terraria for a long time, and I've always stubbornly refused to play with mods because just watching others play them, it felt too different to the vanilla Terraria experience I love. But after YouTube Studios started telling me that the algorithm wants Calamity content, I finally decided to give it a shot, and I don't like it. Default dash, higher base movement speed and jump height, % damage reduction on gold armor? This isn't the Terraria I grew up with. My autism simply couldn't accept it. So I disabled what I could in the config, and downloaded the source code from the Calamity team GitHub and started removing everything I could that changed the vanilla mechanics, armor, weapons, accessories, and consumables. Tried to compile it with tmodloader, got an error screen. Removed the source of the error, and repeated over and over again for hours, doing the equivalent of surgery with a chainsaw on the code. Finally, in what I can only assume was a miraculous gift of God, I had managed to compile a version of the Calamity mod where I could play as an entirely vanilla character with vanilla gear to conquer Calamity Revengeance mode. I start off by trashing the starter pack and exploring for some starter gear as Redigin intended. I couldn't figure out how to remove the rage and adrenaline bars, but I changed enough code so that they don't do anything and won't be hitting their hotkeys. I'm pretty sure the amber hook isn't a normal pyramid chest spawn, but it's a vanilla item, so I'll take it. I pick up a snowball cannon and some other accessories, so now I've got a decent weapon, but I keep exploring to see if I can find something better, especially since its reforge is shoddy. My plan is to kill as many of the Calamity bosses as I reasonably can, so I get all my basic preparations out of the way, get a masterful wand of sparking, and give a quick test to the Eye of Cthulhu. And I really enjoy the new AI, so for the first time I can say that I actually really do love the Calamity mod. I pick up a better snowball cannon and get a shark tooth necklace from the Blood Moon, and now I decide I'm going to take on the Desert Scourge first, because another video said it's the proper boss order. Not that it matters since I won't be using any of its non-vanilla drops anyway, but I might as well see if I can beat it with level appropriate gear. All the boss fights in this video will be sped up by 5 times, but I'll leave a link to the unedited version of them in the description below if you'd like to see them. I died a few times to it as I struggled to manage the desert nuisances, but realized that grenades would allow me to kill them so I could focus on the Desert Scourge. But I couldn't really rely on grenades for the boss because he seems to take reduced damage from them. Back in the early days of Terraria mods, there was a meme about every Terraria mod having the obligatory worm boss, since it was common to just copy-paste the AI of existing bosses rather than try to make a new one. The Desert Scourge really feels unique though, which goes to show how far the modding community has come. The speed of it really makes the fight intense and made watching my minimap closely to dodge it incredibly important. Next up is the Eye of Cthulhu, and I didn't realize before installing Calamity that it actually changes the vanilla boss AI, but that's the kind of mod change that I really like. I die one more time before remembering to drink my buff potions, and the fight goes pretty smoothly from there. The new dash patterns require a bit more speed to dodge and actual skill instead of just running in a straight line for the whole fight, especially because I didn't have increased base movement speed, jump height, and a default dash. That would have made this fight a cakewalk. Now I finally have a proper dash from the Shield of Cthulhu, and the Goblin army spawns pretty quickly. I use a bunch of grenades for the start and spiky balls for the rest like I do in a regular playthrough. There wasn't much to it, so moving on, I buy the mini shark and take on Crabulon. The Goblin Tinkerer actually spawned before I summoned Crabulon the first time, so I almost killed him on accident. I had to clear up some space for the fight as well as improve my movement capabilities by getting some Spectre Boots in order to dodge him properly because the crab shrimp projectiles were actually fairly difficult to dodge even while killing some of them. But the large amount of water in the mushroom biome also seemed to help cheese the boss somewhat, as it was slowed down significantly by it. Now it's on to the Eater of Worlds, where I lose audio recording because my OBS settings for application audio capture weren't quite right, so it didn't capture the Terrarian window in my next recording session. I get a Vilethorn, which is huge as one of the few early game piercing weapons, and get a decent reforge on it. After clearing some space for the fight, it goes pretty smoothly. The changes in Calamity, like the armor damage from getting hit by the head and the extra projectiles, really make it a lot more important to not split the Eater into a bunch of smaller segments, so the fight was actually challenging for me for the first time in years of playing Terraria. I used a lot of buffs for the fight too, including a Hunter Potion, so I didn't have to look at the minimap to see where it was coming from to dodge. Next up was the Hive Mind, and I really struggled with this one since it spawns other enemies. I started getting banners for those enemies after a while, which helped to kill them, but I had a lot of issues with space. A meteorite spawned, and so I was able to get full meteorite armor and a space gun, but after many attempts, I eventually found that the mini shark with meteor bullets was better because the slight knockback slowed down some of the enemies spawned, and the constant stream of bullets helped me aim at some of the smaller targets. I eventually widened up the space and added some platforms, but it wasn't enough, so I made sure to top up my health with life crystals, made some restoration potions after getting lucky and encountering a pinky, and made all the buff potions I could. The first phase was easy as the boss just shoots projectiles and summons enemies while sitting still and teleporting. Same with the second phase, except it moves around a bit and does a little loop and a dash towards me. But the third phase was especially hard because of the dark heart that gets spawned and makes those annoying damaging rain clouds when it's above me, and that's what I needed the mini shark for the most. I actually got really lucky and it spawned in the tunnel to the right and got stuck there, so the last 2000 HP was smooth sailing. But it was a really challenging and fun boss fight. Again, I can't really keep anything from this boss, but it's not about the gear upgrade, it's about sending a message. So, it's time for Skeletron. Build some platforms lazily because I don't feel like cutting down all the trees, bring in a campfire, heart lantern, and some sunflowers for some buffs, and promptly get comboed to death. I kill King Slime because I totally forgot about him. I like the crystal from the crown coming out and shooting, but I'm a bit over-geared for him, so the fight wasn't interesting. And then I make a real attempt at Skeletron as I learned that the space gun was better for the hands since it can hit through both hands and the head, while the meteor shot can only hit twice, but was better for the head because the constant stream of bullets was easier to aim without thinking so much, so I could focus on dodging. Skeletron is one of the bosses whose projectiles AI changes. I was worried about accidentally deleting when I was deleting what I'm pretty sure were changes to the Book of Skulls projectile. So if I screwed up and there's a projectile not functioning as it should in Calamity, then post in the comments below. Now for the last Calamity original boss of pre-hard mode, the Slime God. I did not expect a slime boss to be this hard. It outsped me even with the swiftness potion. It comboed me with its knockback, so I had to pick up a cobalt shield and the materials for lightning boots. The minions, projectiles, splitting, and slight transparency effects made the boss gradually grow harder to dodge throughout the fight. I used as many potions as I could and a deadly boomstick instead of the old mini shark or space gun. The fight was only a little over 4 minutes, but every second was intense and fun. Even though the mod as a whole contains a lot of changes I don't like, I'm still very thankful to the Calamity mod team for making such a great mod. If anyone else is interested in this, I'll try to publish this butchered copy of Calamity so others can try out the challenge. No guarantees though. I went to fight the Queen Bee next and accidentally summoned 2, but after coming back and doing another attempt, it was a lot easier. There didn't seem to be many changes to the boss besides everything being faster and more rapid fire, but that was still pretty cool. Finally, on to the last boss of free hard mode, and since I have Frostspark boots, I figured I'd finish off the Terraspark boots and had to explore a good third of the lava layer of the underground to find a lava charm, and kill several hundred imps for an obsidian rose. But in good news, this recording session came with audio, so I could actually record the final boss fight properly. So I did some basic prep to clear a path without making a whole hell bridge since my Terraspark boots let me walk on lava, and gathered up all the buff potions I could and started making attempts. I got a masterful demon scythe from all the demons guild trying to farm the obsidian rose, and got a little confused by it since the wall of flesh and Calamity also shoots some homing demon scythe projectiles. But after doing several attempts alternating between the boomstick and demon scythe, I realized that I could take advantage of the mana stars left on the path from killing the hungry and leeches to use the demon scythe for nearly the whole fight without reduced damage from the mana sickness debuff. And so, after 19 hours and 43 deaths, I've made it to hard mode, but that's not where this challenge ends. Subscribe for part 2 as I take on the hard mode Calamity bosses as a vanilla Terrarian. Thanks for watching, and God bless.